Selamat pagi Bapak dan Ibu yang sudah join. Kita akan segera mulai ya untuk webinar pagi ini. Kita tunggu 1-2 menit lagi untuk supaya yang lain bisa segera join juga. Terima kasih. Oke, kita akan segera mulai. We are going to start this morning. So let me introduce myself. My name is Johannes from EIKON Technology. And just to give you guys a little bit of background. Okay, just to give you a background about EIKON Technology, we have been a Google partner since 2010, and ever since we have helped organizations to utilize Google technology. And today we have a special guest and special topic for today's webinar, which we are going to introduce to you AODocs. It's document management systems that lives on top of Google Drive. And pleased to introduce Benoit from AODocs, who will be giving you the more information about how you can manage your document better using AODocs and Google Drive. Hand over to you, Ben.
Thank you. Thank you, Anis. Thanks so much for gathering to this webinar today. I'm very pleased to be able to talk to you a bit more about AODocs and talk as well about the partnership we have with EIKON Technology. EIKON Technology has been our partner in Indonesia for some time now, and we had successful stories over the past few months. So we would definitely look at EIKON Technology as our main partner in the region. They've got all the skills from the Google perspective, from an AODocs perspective, and they show a great support for our customers in Indonesia. I'm Benoit Rabrod. I'm the sales director for the APAC region. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. Just to give you a bit of an introduction to our organization, AODocs was founded in 2012. And our head office is in San Francisco. I'm, as I mentioned, based in Sydney, looking after the APAC region. Our organization have been growing dramatically over the past few years, mainly due to an increasing demand for electronic record management, process management on top of the G Suite platform. You can see down the bottom of the screen some of our key customers globally. That includes Google. I'll have an opportunity to talk to you more about that in this session. But yeah, so there's a great interest, obviously, in document management processes and features on top of the Google platform, which is a mature platform. And that's exactly what we propose to offer. We usually picture ourselves as an opportunity to reconcile the IT department with the end users. If you're here in this webinar, it's likely that you've already embraced the Google technology, and you probably did that just like other organizations to embrace the great collaboration features offered by Google. So obviously, the ability to work from anywhere, from any device, to edit concurrent documents with many people at the same time. All these are very great features that makes Google a very democratic platform. And it gives the opportunity for users to share information with the one they want to work with, to collaborate, obviously. Also to take ownership of their work, which gives them the ability to delete information potentially. And that's a risk sometimes that IT would like to control. So IT in parallel are usually after control, obviously, but being able to understand who can share information with the outside world, put together some processes for specific department, for HR, for legal, to make sure that the great level of collaboration doesn't put the organization at risk. So that's what we propose. We propose an enterprise-grade document management system on top of Google Drive, allowing your users to keep collaborating with the great tools offered by Google, while providing the organization with key features to control and to manage processes internally. Some of our customers in the region and globally, you're probably familiar with some of those logos. Sorry, here. I mentioned Google as a key partner, obviously, because not only Google recommends AODocs for G Suite, but they also use extensively AODocs internally. The legal department at Google will use AODocs. The organization in charge of managing all the data centers at Google uses AODocs. The Google Fiber uses AODocs, and so on. So there's up to 15,000 people inside Google using AODocs every day, and that's, I think, for us and for the rest of our the rest of our customers globally, a very important message about the reliability of AODocs, sorry, and the great features that AODocs can provide at an enterprise level. Today, I'm going to focus on a couple of use cases to try to give you an understanding of what AODocs can provide you with. We work with any organization from any industries and from any size. It's all about addressing some specific use cases in your organization to simplify your work, to make your users more productive and more efficient. So today we're going to look at how you can manage a typical contract management or contract lifecycle with AODocs. And we'll look as well into how you can automate some of the HR processes inside your organization. A typical contract management process will help you make sure that before a contract reaches out to one of your customers, it is actually properly validated by some key people in your organization. So you can start with creating a template in AODocs that would be likely to be a salesperson, for example. That template will then be completed, filled, and that's going to be processed through a specific level of approval that you would have configured in an AODocs environment. In the example of today, it's going to be a very simplistic process, so that we can go through the generic features. But this slide here can help you understand that we can also integrate with other parts of your G Suite platform. With Google Forms, you can also introduce additional third-party providers such as DocuSign. DocuSign, thanks to an AODocs connector, can actually introduce electronic signature inside a typical AODocs workflow. So we can introduce you to those other partnerships, other technology, but in the case of today, I'm just going to try to keep it simple so that everybody can understand how it all works. So allow me to move into another, basically a demo platform where I'm demonstrating a Google Drive interface, something that should look very familiar to you, or at least to you as Google users. In this interface, and that's also to show you the level of integration of AODocs inside Google Drive. In this interface, we have some libraries, not all of them, but some libraries that are AODocs libraries, which means that inside those libraries, inside those folders, we will be able to control specific documents, add additional information on top of those documents, and potentially create workflows to make sure that those documents are properly validated in a specific process that you decide. So if I was to create a new template, for example, a new contract, I would go to some subfolders here, for example, the sales subfolder. I would create a new document. This document could be a Google document, but it could be something else. If you still are using Microsoft Documents, for example, you would be able to create directly from Google Drive. Let's keep it simple. Let's just create a Google Docs for now. And I'm just going to give it a basic title. So I'll call it EIKON Technology for this particular demo. And let's pretend I'm adding initial data into this document. I can now close that document. And you can see, first of all, that the first thing that AODocs operates is the transfer of ownership. I briefly talked about how AODocs can help you control who can get access to information, who can share information with the outside world. It starts with transferring the ownership of a file from a user to a corporate owner, which is going to be across the entire organization. The value of that, obviously, is that if I was a normal editor, I would need specific permission to share that document with people externally. I would also need a permission to delete that document if I would like to. Okay, so this document is now protected. On top of that document, I have the ability to add additional information, or so-called metadata as well. And you can also make this additional information mandatory. In the example we're currently looking at, the addition of specific information related to contracts before that contracts can be processed forward. So as a user, this is exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to edit the document, or sort of the envelope around that contract. And I'm going to add information such as a contract number, the company this contract relates to, who's going to be the person in charge of the review of that document. And I can pick anyone from my list of Google accounts on my domain. You can set up additional information, a date, an expiration date for that particular contract, and any other information which is relevant to the process you want to put forward. Okay, so once I've done that, I can now save the information. And obviously, all this information becoming metadata, sitting on top of those documents, can help you and your users find more easily the information thereafter, organize the information with metadata, and so on and so forth. Once I've added that information, I can then process this document through the workflow, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to now send that document for legal approval. I can add a message to transition. I can even make that transition message mandatory. So I'm going to ask the person to review these documents and click on submit. And I made sure that I'm logging as Mike here, the reviewer of that document, so I can easily go through my Gmail and find the information that is sent to me by AODocs to my Gmail account. So typically, I will receive an email like this one as a reviewer. I can see the message that have been sent from the user. I can also access the basic metadata for that document, the additional metadata that my users added, and I obviously can access the document itself as an attachment or as a link. Let's pretend I've reviewed that document, I went through it, probably made some comment as well, but I'm overall happy with that document. I can directly from the email either approve or reject based on what you've set up as a workflow. Obviously, the approval can lead to the next level of approval, or the rejection can actually lead directly to the creator of the document for further update. As an approver, I can add as well additional information, and all those messages, comments, whatever they are, stored at the document level in AODocs, so that you can always come back to the previous comment that have been made and potentially come back to a previous version of that document. So if I was to look now at those documents, not in the Google Drive interface, but in the AODocs user interface, I will be able to do just a bit more in managing my documents. So remember, we created some metadata, which we've added to the documents. And although in Google Drive, you can only look at your information by name, by owner, the date the document was modified, and the size of the document, in AODocs, it's the same interface, but you can use the metadata, leverage the metadata to organize your files differently. So here in this interface, you can see that documents are organized by company, by contract number, title, expiration date, all the metadata that are relevant for your process that can help you organize the files this way. This view that we're looking at is only one of the views you can create. Obviously, if I come back to the library level, you can see that I can create different views. Here I was able to see all my contracts, but you can also see all the contracts which will expire in 1 month. I've got nothing in this particular category right now, but this is exactly how you will be able to organize your information. Workflows can be accessed directly from the AODocs user interface. This little icon here will give you at any point in time, provided you have the right to do so, it will provide you with a snapshot of all the contracts you currently have processed through the workflow. Here you can see that you've got 10 documents at draft level, another 10 waiting for legal approval, and so on and so forth. And again, if you have the rights to access those documents, you can always click on one of them and continue processing those documents through the workflow. So that's a typical way to manage contracts for most organizations out there using AODocs. We talked as well about the level of control of the documents stored in AODocs libraries. If I was to go now into the security center for this specific library, the contract management library we were looking at, this is where you can set up specific type of permissions. Here, by default, you will find people who can view or edit. That's obviously the traditional setup in Google Drive. We also add an administrator level, and you can then designate specific people to become administrators of documents inside this specific library. Once you've designated some administrators, you can then place into the hands of those administrators specific permissions, such as being able to share the content. If you tick that box and specify that only the administrators can share files and folders, as an editor, I will need to request permissions to one of the administrators before I can share specific documents with anyone, either inside my organization or outside my organization. The same way, by ticking that box here, you can place into the hands of the administrators the right to delete content. And additional editors will actually see the bin button on their Google Drive interface disappearing. and they won't be able to delete any information from those folders. And finally, to help bring a bit more structure in Google Drive, you can set that only the administrators will be able to manage the folder structure, which means as an editor, I won't be able to take any of those subfolders and move them anywhere else inside Google Drive. So that's a great feature that most of our customers actually like, because it prevents having users changing the structure in Google Drive, and it allows users to start thinking of where the information is located in Google Drive, and it brings some efficiency as well in the way people are going to be searching for information. The second use case I wanted to talk to you about today is a typical HR process. Request management are very common with HR. They could be travel requests, for example, or expense claims that you send to your HR department, and you seek, obviously, an approval before this can be approved. So typical example would be, I'm coming back now to another library in AODocs, which is dedicated to manage HR expenses claims. So as a user, I can log into my AODocs interface. For that, I use my Google credentials, the same. So it's same basically password and ID to access this interface. I'm going to look for my expenditure library, where I'm going to be able to create a new form to request any particular expense reimbursement. So here, it's a form that has been created, and we're not going to process here any documents. So it's just to give you an idea that you don't need to work on documents to use AODocs. AODocs can create forms just to automate some processes internally. So here I'm going to select my department, and you can see how you can pre-fill information just to standardize all the processes with your users. By pre-filling information, by putting some scroll-down menus, radio buttons, and so on and so forth, you basically minimize the risk of errors when users are actually creating those forms and filling those forms. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm just going through those particular questions. You can add sometimes some text. Again, some of this information can be made mandatory, some others won't be, and that's up to your choice. So I'm just going through the form. I'm just going to make, again, Mike as my reviewer. You can place any particular amount, and when you're done, same process. You just save here, and I'm going to just add another title here, and this title can actually be automated based on the metadata you put into this form. And again, you can process that document further just by clicking on the workflow button. And just as we saw before, my manager will be able to review that claim directly from email, and will be able to decide whether he wants to accept it or not. Okay, so it's exactly the same process that we're looking at now. So these are very typical processes and use cases that our customers globally address with AODocs, with the AODocs features. There are plenty more, obviously, use cases that you can address with AODocs, but in a nutshell, AODocs will be able to help you organize your processes, the way you work differently, being able to, giving you the tools to validate processes, to approve documents before they reach out to someone, to review whatever you want, to review your levels of stocks, for example, if you are in the retail industry, being able to manage a hiring process for HR or to be able to communicate safety rules to your staff and publish information through an intranet, for example. So that's all the particular features that AODocs can bring to your organization. The ability to view as well what's happening in your business, making search more efficient using metadata. We went through that example. Being able to link different documents to another, report, track where any processes are at, because you can track, in some cases, which workflows levels you're at. So that's a very important. There's plenty of reporting you can generate out of AODocs. And also the ability to mine your data. So right now you probably have a lot of information stored in Google Drive, but because you don't have the metadata that helps you search for the specific information, it's sometimes difficult to gather all the documents that are on the same topic, and metadata will help you do that for you. And finally, we've got more and more customers who need to comply with specific rules within their industry. It's typical in a manufacturing space to have organizations who need to go through comprehensive quality management processes. Some of our customers need to comply with ISO norms. Some of our organizations working with AODocs needs to mitigate the risk relating to their operations. So AODocs will give you all the right processes using workflows, using metadata to comply with the kind of rules that your organization need to comply with. AODocs is a product which is also recommended by Google for G Suite. I mentioned that Google was actually using AODocs. AODocs is recommended by G Suite because it's been tested through by Google. It's been used, of course, by Google, and it's obviously seamlessly integrate with the tools offered by Google in G Suite. We've seen that through Google Drive. We've seen that how AODocs can send information directly in your Gmail, and you'll be able to activate processes directly in your Gmail. So for all these good reasons, AODocs is fully backed by Google for G Suite. In a nutshell, again, these are the common features that AODocs will bring to your Google interface. Workflows, metadata, we talked about this. Being able to check in, check out document to block the concurrent editing of files for a certain amount of time. Generate automated document validations, security management, record retentions, document portals. We can help you make sure that you have processes in place before documents get published into your intranet. These are very common use cases amongst our client base. All these key features are completely accessible from your G Suite platform using, as I mentioned earlier, the same single sign-on. We don't store any information on behalf of our customers. So all your documents that you put inside AODocs folders remain in Google Drive, are stored inside Google Drive, which means that if you were to deploy AODocs and decommission AODocs after 2 or 3 years, all your documents remain at the same location in the same subfolders or folders in Google Drive. One of the points about having AODocs recommended by G Suite, by Google for G Suite, is because, as we saw that from Google Drive, it's the same user Google experience. We also offer the ability to open specific documents directly from a Google Drive interface. So we mentioned Excel, Word. As long as you have the license on your computer, you can open those documents directly from Google Drive, make your changes, and save them back to Google Drive, just like you would do with any other file server. But you can also think about any other type of documents, Photoshop, AutoCAD, if you are in the engineering space. Our common example, and all those documents obviously can be stored in Google Drive, in AODocs, and opened directly from Google Drive. Finally, we've got an API which is available for our customers if they have any requirements to synchronize information between AODocs and another system that you would be using, such as an ERP, such as a CRM platform. We have customers synchronizing information between AODocs and the SAP platform and the Salesforce environment. So we have the ability to provide you with custom scripts to synchronize information between the two platforms. Again, a quick overview of where AODocs can be found in our customer sites. You know, I mentioned HR and legal, which are obviously typical example where AODocs is used in some of our organization. The IT department might be interested in deploying AODocs to decommission prem file servers, for example, and migrate all this information inside AODocs with the same level of control, with the metadata, with all the different versions. We have connectors that can help you do that, and all the information currently on your file servers can be imported directly in AODocs. Operations, I mentioned briefly, quality processes, compliance, and so on. This is a growing use case amongst our client base, being able to manage operating procedures, to automate some processes internally. That's what operations department are typically looking at when they deploy AODocs. And finally, marketing. I mentioned that use case just briefly before. Being able to make sure you validate specific documents before they can be published in your intranet, and accessible by others. This slide also is to explain how AODocs is integrated and built on top of Google Drive. So we don't interfere with any solutions, with any features you will be able to find inside your Google Drive environment, inside your G Suite environment. We just add additional features on top of it. So that's pretty much what I had to show you today. Obviously, you know, through EIKON Technology, you know, I'm happy to answer any of your questions. I'm happy to continue that discussion with you, you know, via email. I'm happy to be introduced to you via EIKON. So I'm based in Sydney again. It's easy in terms of time zone. So I'm always happy to get into a conversation with you and explain a bit more about AODocs and mainly understand a bit more about your business processes.
Great, thank you very much, Benoit. It was really great presentation, and I believe this tool will be very useful for most organizations. There is one question from Bu Johanna. Maybe if you could share the pricing of the AODocs and with the different edition, that would be very helpful.
I'm just going to share my screen again here and get you straight to our website. So we have three products, three SKUs that you can benefit from. If you just want you know, basic elements of control around your files, you know, transferring the ownership of file, being able to set specific level of control at library, folder, and subfolder level. This is all accessible as part of the enterprise folder SKU. If you start looking at metadata, workflows, you know, version control, APIs, you probably want to look at document management. Obviously, document management will come with all the features available at the enterprise level, enterprise folder level, plus the additional ones sitting here. Is probably more designed for enterprise. It comes with lots of other modules, connectors, you know, being able to watermark your documents, being able to manage retentions of records. So our typical customers for this type of product is government, large enterprise with specific and comprehensive requirements for document management. So I would say most of our customers will be looking at document management as a SKU.
Great, thank you very much, Benoit. Just to add one thing regarding the AODocs, we can also integrate with Google Form to capture the data. And once the data is entered into the Google Form, you can create the Google form from Google Drive. Then it can automatically add it to the AODocs document. Then the workflow will start from there. So it's a nice and easy integration with Google Drive to capture data which you can put or add into your websites or any or through email blasts, which you can capture your customers' data or feedbacks that you need to follow up with and manage in the AODocs with the workflow. So thank you very much for the presentation, Ben. If anyone has any questions or anything, please feel free to enter your questions in the live chat. We would be happy to answer your questions. Just to let you guys know, if you sign up the AODocs workflow, document management, or the enterprise folder through EIKON Technology, we have a special offer for you. We are going to give 15% discount. 15% discount if you sign up by February 2018. So this is a special offer by February 2018. And if you have any question you would like to know more about AODocs, we can have one-to-one sessions over Google Hangouts or meet face-to-face with your team within your organizations, and we can discuss further.
Absolutely.
We have a question from Joanne. Okay, so this is an addition account on our Google for Work. We already have it with 10 accounts. Yes, AODocs is an add-on application that you can integrate with the G Suite that you currently have.
That's right. Can I just add maybe something to it? So yeah, you perfectly spotted it, but we sometimes have the question, do I have to license my entire domain, all my users on AODocs if I want to use AODocs? No, you don't need to do that. You can deploy AODocs just for specific departments, for specific processes. You can think of the legal department. So we have organizations who just deployed AODocs for the legal department. That's absolutely fine. We can focus on specific use cases in your organization. That's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Great. Ben, just one question pop up in my mind. Do you have a special pricing for education institutions?
We do have special pricing for education. In general, we provide with a 25% discount. However, we found, because we work with a lot of schools worldwide and a lot of universities, we also happy to look at different ways to, because sometimes the students are involved, sometimes the students are not involved. It depends on the use cases that organization wants to address. So we can tailor some things around that.
Great, perfect. Is there any other questions that we can help you guys with? If not, I think this is it. Well, thank you very much for joining, and we hope to get some feedbacks from you. We'll send you guys an email for the recorded webinar. And if you have any questions later on, just shoot us an email. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
Benoit.
everyone.